Do not let the package fool you. This is not synthetic marijuana, but a highly toxic chemical cocktail designed in a lab that can shut down your organs instantly. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're taking a very grave, highly clinical look at the terrifying pharmacological reality behind synthetic cannabinoids. We're going to break down the hard, unvarnished science of what these substances actually do to the human body, relying strictly on medical and toxicological data.
You know, those bright, colorful packets you might see sold under names like Spice or K2, or even those innocent-looking liquids used in vape pens, they mask a profound chemical deception. As the medical literature clearly states, these are not just harmless alternatives to natural marijuana. Not even close. They possess vastly different and far more potent side effects. So today we're going to uncover the exact molecular mechanisms that make these unregulated street chemicals so incredibly dangerous.
Section 1. Anatomy of molecular overload. Let's dive right into the cellular level mechanics.
Okay, the absolute most crucial thing to understand here is the clinical distinction between a partial agonist and a full agonist at the CB1 receptor in your central nervous system. Think of the CB1 receptor like a dimmer switch in your brain, one that regulates mood, memory, pain, things like that. Well, a partial agonist is like a regular dimmer switch. It turns the lights on, but it can only go so high. There's a limit. A full agonist, on the other hand, it bypasses the dimmer entirely and just jams the switch to its absolute maximum capacity.
And here is where we see that stark, terrifying contrast. Natural THC has low efficacy. It acts as a partial agonist, so it has a built-in pharmacological ceiling. It acts as a natural limit. But synthetic cannabinoids, they act as full agonists, causing life-threatening overstimulation. They were explicitly engineered in labs to have extremely high affinity and full efficacy. They bind tighter, they hold on longer, and they trigger a maximum cellular response that your nervous system simply was not designed to handle.
Because of this unbridled chemical power, the risk of requiring emergency medical treatment is an alarming 30 times greater following the use of synthetic cannabinoids compared to natural cannabis. Let that sink in for a second. 30 times. That is a staggering statistic pulled straight from global public health data. We're talking about patients rushing into emergency rooms with extreme tachycardia, severe agitation, and really profound cognitive impairment.
Section 2. Hijacking the brain. Let's look at exactly how these neurological failures happen.
The neurotoxic mechanisms at play here are just catastrophic. The full agonism of CB1 inhibits GABA transmission and literally floods the brain with glutamate and dopamine, causing excitotoxic damage to your neurons. You see, GABA acts as your brain's natural brake pedal. It calms nervous system activity down. Synthetic cannabinoids basically cut the brake line. Without GABA, excitatory neurotransmitters like glutamate just surge uncontrollably. This overrelease overstimulates your neurons to the point where they are damaged or they literally die. Clinically, we call this excitotoxicity. Throw in the production of reactive oxygen species causing oxidative stress, and you have a perfect recipe for severe neurological injury.
And making matters so much worse, these lab-designed synthetics completely lack cannabidiol, or CBD. CBD is a natural protective compound that actually guards against psychosis. Because synthetics lack it, users are left completely vulnerable to extreme psychotomimetic effects, often called the zombie effect. In natural cannabis, CBD works to modulate and counteract anxiety and psychotic properties, but synthetic formulations are 100% devoid of this chemical safeguard. This absence, right alongside that extreme dopamine overstimulation we just talked about, is exactly why up to 28% of users experience intense hallucinations, paranoia, and dissociative catatonia.
Section 3. Systemic organ shutdown. This goes far beyond just the brain. It's a severe, multi-organ threat.
Mapping out these severe risks completely shatters the myth that this is just fake weed. It's so much worse. We are seeing rapid breakdown of muscle tissue, a condition known as rhabdomyolysis, which practically clogs and destroys the kidneys. Cardiologists are documenting ischemic strokes and myocardial infarctions, literally heart attacks, in otherwise perfectly healthy young adults, all brought on by the extreme cardiovascular stress these full agonists trigger.
The medical literature specifically highlights how previously healthy young adults are presenting with sudden, severe renal failure after use of Mako use. This completely shatters any illusion of this being a safe alternative. The pathology reports show acute tubular necrosis, meaning the tissues inside their kidneys are actively dying. Many of these patients who have absolutely no prior history of chronic illness end up requiring emergency hemodialysis just to survive the intoxication. It's truly terrifying.
Section 4.
an untested chemical experiment. Now we have to talk about the brutal reality of the supply chain.
As governments step in to ban specific chemical structures, underground labs just continuously synthesize new, often far more potent and dangerous variations, like MDMB-4EN Pianaca, specifically designed to evade the law. Back when early variants like JWH-018 were made illegal, rogue chemists just tweaked a few molecules to stay one step ahead. In 2021, when China enacted generic, class-wide controls, the underground market didn't stop. They just pivoted to new, highly potent precursors like MDMB and NACA to create even deadlier products. It is just a relentless, global game of chemical cat and mouse.
I have to stop and ask you directly. Do you realize that these chemicals are constantly modified in labs to bypass drug laws, making every single packet an untested chemical experiment? There is zero quality control, zero FDA oversight. The compound in a packet bought on a Tuesday might be entirely completely different and exponentially more toxic than the compound in a visually identical packet bought on a Wednesday.
Users are unwittingly acting as human guinea pigs for underground chemists. They're consuming unregulated mixtures that degrade into biologically active metabolites, which prolongs their toxic grip on the body. Think about how this is made. These potent chemicals are literally just dissolved in solvents and sprayed completely haphazardly onto dried plant matter. Or increasingly, they're soaked directly into pieces of paper or greeting cards to be smuggled into places like correctional facilities. The dosage is a total gamble. And furthermore, unlike natural THC, the liver actually breaks these synthetics down into metabolites that are also fully active, extending the toxicity and creating a devastating, prolonged crisis inside the user's body.
The scientific consensus here is crystal clear. The molecular design of synthetic cannabinoids makes them fundamentally incompatible with human health. Knowledge is protection. Hit the subscribe button to stay informed on the science of substances. Because when the next untested, completely unpronounceable synthetic molecule hits the streets, will your body be ready to survive the experiment?